Grainmaker. Welcome, everyone, to the Grainmaker Wrestling Podcast, a Prairie Proud wrestling podcast covering everything from Winnipeg to worldwide. My name is Blair Pacheco. Hope you're doing well, having a great day, evening, weekend, whenever it is you're sitting down and listen to this. Now, I know this past, it's already 2026. I keep forgetting about it. I want to say like this past fall, but I know back in 2025, I was fortunate enough. I went out to Toronto. I got to see All Out. The night before, I went to a deathmatch show, the second one I'd ever been to, and I'm very stoked because my guest today was actually on that show. We're going to sit down and talk about deathmatch wrestling. We're going to talk about their career as joining me on the Grainmaker Wrestling Podcast. It's Tyler Aero. Tyler, how's things going?
Great. It's funny you mentioned I didn't know you were actually at that show. The fun fact is I left that building in an ambulance that night.
That was a crazy night. Like, I mean, we'll talk about that because I mean, there's quite a bit to unpack from that. But I mean, you've been involved with professional wrestling, with deathmatch wrestling. When you first started getting into wrestling and when you first got involved with it, was the plan always to get involved with deathmatch wrestling?
I'm gonna say no. Okay. It wasn't the plan. Naturally, for me, a lot of my favorites did stem from or went to that style of wrestling. You know, your Terry Funks, your Mick Foley's. Later, even though he was after my time of watching Sick Nick Mondo, a lot of my favorites were either involved or went to it at some point. But it wasn't necessarily the plan from the get-go. Honestly, the plan was just to wrestle. Yeah. At this point now, 10 years in now, I didn't think at any point I would have been in a position to really do some of the things I've done. I mean, all that weekend, we were as much as the circumstance may have become unfortunate, we were one of the most talked about things that weekend. It blew my mind. You know, you get your good and your bad, but the internet will do what the internet does.
Yes.
And no, at the end of the day, like, it wasn't always the plan. At this point now, it's just become what it is. But I'm also aware that there is an expiration date on such a style. At least for me, some people like respect to them. Some people do it 30 years, whatever, 20 years. For me, I know there will come a time where it'll be it. You know, because at the end of the day, the goal is to retire successfully, and retiring successfully doesn't mean you can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
You know? So,
but there are guys who they're gonna do it until they can't anymore. But I know, like, for a lot of people, they still want, you know, post wrestling, they want to be able to, you know, play with their kids if they have them, or just to be able to like get out of bed in the morning and not, you know, hear every bone crack just from rising up. And that's a big thing, knowing that you can still have a future and a life outside of professional wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, I just got engaged recently, and a lot of thank you. A lot of things changed there. You know, like me and my fiance, we met at a no ring show. And back then it was really cool and it was fun to watch. Now there's that other layer where it's like I get in a lot of trouble sometimes, you know. So I mean, we want to keep her happy too. So I'm not sure what that expiration date is, but I know it exists.
Yes.
But that doesn't take away my love for it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, obviously, you know, I think a lot of people, a lot of the older generation, I'll say older, even though it's not like you're very old yourself, but I know for a lot of us, the entry point to deathmatch, that was, you know, the king of the deathmatch from, you know, the late 90s. That sort of, it opened our eyes to stuff that maybe we didn't know was going on, and it was something different. And the fact that, like, you could only get that footage from the clips that they would show on TV, the very few clips, or like tape trading. It was a different world back then. But when you look at professional wrestling, what was your earliest memory? Like, what sort of got you into wrestling?
See, that's funny because what amazes a lot of people, especially given like my look, my style of wrestling, um, what got me into it originally was I was a John Cena guy. You
Mm,
know, I started watching around the time where he was, I believe it was just before he was drafted to Raw, so it was like pre WWE Championship stuff. Um, but that was like my earliest time of it, and then as I got older, that's when I started going back and watching a lot of the stuff that I ended up really enjoying to this day, like the Shawn Michaels and Triple H feuds of the early 2000s, the Stone Cold and Rock, a lot of the classic things that really drew a lot of people in. That to me this day, I'll still go up on their vault on YouTube and or on Netflix now, for that matter, and watch back a lot of stuff. But then I think it was only like my teen years where I discovered that there was so much more to it. Like I knew there was TNA,
yeah.
and I knew there was New Japan, but as far as like independence and the super indie companies and everything like that, and especially aside from like the times of ECW, the hardcore deathmatch stuff, because deathmatch stuff wasn't really ever televised in North America, to my knowledge.
No.
Um, you could only get it through buying the DVDs at the merch table, or when YouTube started picking up, and that was really all you could see. Like, don't get me wrong, some of my first deathmatch stuff was just random YouTube videos that I came across from, like the original CZW days.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, that there can stem back into the Kings of Deathmatch and the Terry Funk, like the Cactus Jack Terry Funk matches and stuff like that. And then from there, you can just snowball into so many different rabbit holes of deathmatch wrestling. You got some good, you got some bad, but it was all there. And I was pretty young at the time when I found out that stuff, but I didn't know how I felt about it until I started getting more into the research of things, and once I started understanding how a lot of this worked, then I really got into it,
Mhm.
and I just jumped on it once I had the opportunity. I'm not gonna lie. I
Have
did
you?
wait. I did wait though. I wrestled, and I still do, but I wrestled just pro wrestling for 7 years before I even touched a strand of barbed wire or a light tube or anything like that. I didn't just jump into it,
No.
which I feel is a big misconception for a lot of people. Is like there are some that this is all they've ever done, but there's if you have a good foundation and then you start branching out and you ultimately become a multi-tool of a professional wrestler, I think that's the best way to go about things.
Mhm. I mean, and that adds another level to yourself because like you've had, 7 years or 7+ years of, in-ring wrestling that, your technical style of wrestling, like the stuff that you can see on TV or an independent show. And then adding the death match to it just adds another layer to Tyler Aero as a wrestler. It's just, it's another story, another thing that you can go to like, promote yourself and add to your wrestling career. Um, it's funny you mentioned the CZW stuff because I always look back at that because that was almost in the time of like downloading and stuff and going on like, Kazaa or whatever and downloading like a deathmatch wrestling clip and it'd be like a CZW
Yeah.
clip. But at the time, your wrestling knowledge, it's as limited as to what is, you can get your hands on for information. As a fan, I knew very little about CCW. Information wasn't there for you. But now in today's day and age where like you can go look at Wikipedia, you can go and find the matches on YouTube. Like we're very lucky to have what we do in this day and age.
Oh yeah, you got the whole world in your pocket and a couple of clips, and you get all the information you need. It's become such, and I'm terrible with technology, and I think the evolution of it is terrifying. But as a tool, it's such an amazing thing for such a thing. Like, because if we were still in the times of tape trading, like I don't think there'd be as many opportunities as there is now.
Mhm.
But on the same token, it would kind of show like who's willing to put that work in, because having to drive all those hours just to give somebody a tape, just to go back home and maybe get a phone call or an email,
Mhm.
it's a it could be a double-edged sword or it could be a bittersweet thing. But to be able to go back now, like, yeah, you can read the history of everything just in this, 6x4 thing in your pocket. So absolutely, and I think it's great that people have access to that type of information because it's just another way to learn. Like, yeah, you learn best, in my opinion, by your own experiences, but at least you can get a ballpark idea of something.
Yeah. No,
So,
definitely. So I mean, you mentioned, wrestling, you've been at it for 10 years, 7 years or so before you even decided, deathmatch wrestling was an option for you. But at what point are you thinking that professional wrestling was something that you wanted to get involved with?
uh, well, I got started when I was 16. So I didn't really ever have a plan. It was kind of just that thing where it was like, I knew somebody that that had a connection to what I thought was the only show that happened in my hometown, which fast forward now, there's like 17 different shows that happen in my hometown, but I was just an ignorant teenager. But it was just kind of one of those things where I was like, I've always loved it. Let's see what it's about.
Mhm.
And, it didn't, in my first few years, like, not to, I don't want to talk down on them. We don't really talk anymore, but I got my start with a company called GWN that pops up once in a while. And it was just one of those things where, I wrestled 2-3 times a year for my first couple of years. But when they closed the doors, it was like, well, now what? Am I just done?
Mhm.
Like, by that point, I'm like, I'm 17. I just turned 18 or something like that. And it's like, I just got started. I want
Yeah.
to be done now. And, going back to, we have the entire world in our pocket, just a couple of clicks and you can find some wrestling schools. And I was fortunate enough for there to be um, one probably about 20 minutes down the road from where I currently lived at the time. And it kind of was just one of those things where I never knew if it was going to have any longevity for me. Like, not in a sense of just like, if I was capable. I had a feeling I was capable. Like, I was a boxer before I was a wrestler, which is very different, but I've always been in some type of either competitive or combat based or just something very athletic and physically
Mhm.
demanding. So it was a whole different ballgame, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But just being ignorant, was it going to go anywhere? Is there anywhere I can go locally?
Mhm.
Because really, who we had to look up to growing up as Canadians was what? Edge, Christian, Bret Hart.
Yep.
There's plenty of Canadians, but not all of them made it, right?
Mhm.
And but there's also that thing where, like, to me, making it is subjective. Like, some people it's WWE, that's great. Some people it's New Japan, that's great. Some people now it's AEW. Like, making it is so subjective that as long as you're not even reaching, but as long as you're working towards your goal, I mean, I think you made it in some capacity.
Yeah.
Like, and I
It,
feel like a lot of people get lost in that because they only see the goal. And it's great to be hard on yourself, but you also got to stop and smell the roses once in a while.
Mhm. It's not as black and white as it used to be when it comes to what success is, because
Yeah.
there are many people who they aren't involved with the major promotions or anything like that. They just wrestle independence, but how they've been able to market themselves and present themselves, they're able to do that as a full-time job. And as long as you're happy with what you're doing, that's the ultimate goal. I mean, like, you don't want to be doing this and hating everything about it. So, like, if you can make a career out of it doing independence, you're happy, then I think at the end of the day, it's a successful career.
Oh, absolutely. We can be people can be miserable at the 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, but we're all in this to have fun. So if you're not having fun, why are you here?
Mhm.
Like, sure, you want to make money. Sure, you want to get your name out there. But at the end of the day, we're all chasing that childhood dream that we all had at one time or another.
Mhm.
So, be it if the motivations are different or the goals are different, we're all there for the same reason
Yeah.
because we love it.
Yeah.
So if you're not enjoying it, maybe it's just not for you, kind of deal. But I mean, I also understand, like, life will do what it does best, and it'll make things difficult.
Yes.
But that's where I say, if you don't stop and smell the flowers once in a while, like if I just focused on one thing over the last 10 years, I would have forgotten about anything that I was proud of. You know, be it if it was titles, be it if it was certain matches, certain companies I've gotten to work for, even just some of the stories of traveling. Like for me, there's not many. I'm very big on, like, I'm going to here to wrestle. We can go out to dinner. I'm going home because, you know, I'm my friends like call me the youngest old man. Like I'm tired all the time. I want to go to bed, you know. But like I've been on car rides with some of my best friends, and it's like that whole thing. What was that quote from the show The Office? I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before they became the good old days.
Yeah.
Like, right. So it's one of those things, you got to enjoy yourself. Otherwise, like in my case, I've wasted the last 10 years. I could have went back to school or gone to university or gone to another type of education, whatever it could have been. But I love what I do, and even just being off since September, like that last show that you saw was the last show I did, and even now, like I stopped by a show this passing weekend, and I just saw how like miserable people seem to be there, and I was like, man, I'd love to get in there and do this right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what's going on? Like, I think that's where I learned the lesson of like, sometimes, be it as forced or by choice, you need that break to realize how much you miss it or how much you love what you do. I feel if you're burning the candle at both ends, like I was doing 3 shows a week, every month. And yeah, you get burnt out eventually. But even if you take 2 weeks off, it makes a whole world of difference.
Yeah.
And but I feel like too many people are focused on that grind, that if they take a break, they're going to lose progress. It's like, man, I've been off for 6 months and my phone is still blowing up. You know, I mean, like people understand.
Yeah. Especially in this day and age where there's so many contributing factors, and you need that you just as much as you need your body to be able to, get that rest, you need your mind, you need that mental health. Like you need to be able to like know that like if you're not enjoying it, if things are building up like that, you could take that step back, kind of recharge, refocus, and when you get back into it, you're going to be that much sharper, that much more ready for it. And in today's day and age, like you really have to be able to, push yourself, but also know your limits. And if it means, hey, maybe you have to take a week off or 2 weeks off, it's going to help you out more in the long run than if you just burn the candle from both ends and in a month's time you're fucking miserable and you don't want to do it anymore.
Oh, 100%. The biggest misconception is this is just as important as this. Like so many people don't realize that. Like eventually, like, and I've been guilty of it too. Like there's been times where I was just running on autopilot for some shows. Then ultimately I saw it in my own work that I either got not careless, but like I was just going through the motions.
Yeah, you notice.
Like, yeah, 100%. And like I'm a huge advocate on, if I'm getting bored of what I'm doing, the people watching aren't enjoying it either. And even if they are, they're just enjoying it because I'm the babyface or I'm the hometown guy, or it's because they know who I am. Like, and I feel it's almost insulting if I don't care. These people are paying to see this. This is their Friday evening. This is their weekend off, whatever it may be. And it just becomes, again, going through the motions where you're just a zombie that knows what it's doing. And I stress it to so many people nowadays, like friends of mine that are like, man, I'm just tired. I'm not enjoying this right now. It's like, well, fuck, take a month off.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be there in a month. Like it doesn't go anywhere. But a lot of people think that at the snap of the fingers, it's gone. It's like, it can be, but that's more based off of if you on an injury or if you piss off the wrong people or whatever the case may be. But like if you're taking a break, it's going to be there. Like you can always find your way back there.
Hey, professional wrestling has been around for 1,000 years, so like
it's
always going to be there. So you needing to take a break, needing to recharge, you're going to be fine. Don't worry. So it's just
and I can even say in these 6 months, my knees have never felt better.
Well, I mean, so you kind of get your start 16, 17, have to, reset, start off training somewhere else. I mean, how was that, as a teenager, knowing that it kind of gets put on pause a little bit, kind of restarting, you're still feeling into it, still excited?
Still excited, but just like realizing how different one atmosphere is to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like how one place runs their school is completely different from how another place runs the school, and just the mentality. Like I started off in a place that was very old school and very 80s, which all too I'm like that. I still have a love for 80s wrestling too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not what I necessarily do. Like for me, like obviously, like I ultimately ended up becoming like a Rob Van Dam and a Jeff Hardy guy as I started to grow up, and then and then came the AJ Styles and everything like that. So for me, it was more so just like I fell victim of what I'm assuming a lot of teenage guys fall into. I thought I knew everything, and I knew fucking nothing. Like, but to me, at least, professional wrestling is a very surefire way to show you that you don't know everything. And
Mm-hmm.
even people 20, 30 years in, you can learn something all the time. It just depends on your mindset. There's always a lot of people who think their way is the right way or this way is the wrong way. It's like there is no right or wrong way. It's like we're all different. As long as you know the aspect of professional wrestling, like what I think is right might not work for you. Like I don't like that's why like even people ask me for advice. I don't like giving advice because I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody could be wrong. So for me, it's kind of like, well, if you want to try something, I'll give you a suggestion, but I'm not going to give you advice because then it feels like you have to listen to me. And I don't want that because you're your own person. You have your own style, your own experiences, your own move set. Mine could be completely different and I could be wrong. And I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And but that also comes from being a teenager that thought he knew everything and realizing he knew nothing. So, but I was also hounded growing up in the business by people who thought they knew everything or
Mm-hmm.
claimed they knew everything or claimed that I was wrong. And even in fast forward, I'm still doing a lot of stuff that I did 10 years ago. I just learned how to use it.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. It's like there's a place for everything, be it if it's comedy, uh, strong style, death match, tag team wrestling, multi-man matches. Like there's a place for everything. You just have to know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And that just comes with time and experience and wanting to learn more than being forced to learn.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think anyways. I always have to say, but I could be wrong because there's always somebody you might piss off by saying something.
It's true though that when you talk about giving advice, because just because something works for one person, it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll work for you. And not that it's bad advice, it's just the way things work. It's so varied because even you look at the way people will promote themselves on social media, and you could ask, wrestler A, like, okay, like you're getting a lot of followers, you're getting a lot of attention. How do you do it? They'll say, oh, I do XYZ. And okay, that they do that, but just because that's what they've done doesn't necessarily mean that you'll see the same success. And that's not to say in a few years' time that it might not, but it's like the world works in strange ways. So you can almost have to take that advice and use it the best way to benefit yourself.
Yeah, because XYZ might work for this person, but ABC works for this guy.
Yes.
Like, right? It's a very big thing like that. Like even for me, like in the time off that I've had, like I mean, I ballooned right up. I put on a bunch of weight because I was at home hurt,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't work out, couldn't do anything, and I spent most of my time messaging like guys that like I'm either friends with or guys that I cross paths with, guys that are in great shape, and I'm like, listen, like I got 10 broken ribs and a collapsed lung. What can I start with? Because I need to do something. I need to get in shape. I need like because if I'm just going to sit around, I'm going to come back, over 200 pounds, but not a good over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
And then I have to go on the fly with it. And I got so many different pieces of advice, but really only maybe three things I took from it because those are the three things that worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a bunch of other things I tried and some of them didn't work, or at least I'm not going to say didn't work, but didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And then I found the things that did work for me. And like, since I believe November, like I dropped 20, 25 pounds. I had to start working on cardio again because obviously from a collapsed lung, like, um, it's I find it's similar in almost every field, like in this case, fitness, but also in pro wrestling. It's like just because something works for somebody else might not work for you, but you can also take one of those things that they pointed out and maybe add that.
Yeah.
Like I'm very big on, like, even in wrestling, if you want advice or you want suggestions, you can take one thing from 15 people and make your own set out of it. It doesn't have to be all 15 from one guy, all 15 from another guy, all 15 from that person. Like, just mix and match. That's the beauty of having to learn or wanting to learn things. Like I hate when people pigeonhole themselves as one thing, and I'm not criticizing it, but I feel it limits people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I started off as a traditional 80s style wrestler in a modern era of wrestling. I then figured out the high flying stuff. I then ended up in a tag team. I then ended up in a trios team. Then I've ended up in deathmatch. Like, I believe that taking something from everything and making yourself versatile can be one of, if not the most beneficial things for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least in my case, it has shown. I've been at shows where it's, I was just hanging out with people and watching, and someone had to pull out. It's like, hey, you can do this. Would you mind getting your gear and doing this and that? It's like, absolutely. Because some of my opportunities have solely come from just being able to pull something off.
Mm-hmm.
And I when someone's just like, no, this is all I do. I only do this. I only do that. Like, I don't get into all that stuff. It's like, if it's not for you, it's not for you.
Yeah.
But staying as one simple thing is a very good way, in my opinion, to get yourself stuck where you are. Like, you don't progress from not taking a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I stress to a lot of people. And I'm like, you don't have to get into like deathmatch wrestling. Don't take that. Don't, like that. I don't like. I encourage people to go after what they enjoy doing. But it's like, if you're a singles wrestler, try a tag team.
Yeah.
Try a trios match. Work somebody else. Like, work a luchador from Mexico. Like, I've done that a handful of times. Big language barrier, but still learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just taking a chance and don't ever be like, let me think about it. Just say yes and figure it out. That's my philosophy anyway. Like, even if it's unsettling, take the opportunity, because you're going to take something away from it.
Sometimes it's those uncomfortable moments, uncomfortable, like, sort of positions you're put in. That's when you can really excel and really challenge yourself to, like, kind of grow as a person, as a wrestler, because, say, you have that match with someone who maybe they're a different language or a different style, like you're wrestling a luchador. Well, okay, well, there's barriers you guys are going to have to get past. If you two can come together, work on that and get past that, that's going to make it so much easier going forward for you. If you're having to wrestle someone that same style, or even allowing you to travel to a different country and, like, wrestle there, that it's a big way to, like, break down those sort of barriers.
Oh, 100%. I always say the most dangerous place you can be is in your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't learn in your comfort zone. You don't elevate in your comfort zone. Like, the comfort zone becomes a safe place, but you're supposed to stay in the safe place.
Yeah.
Like, if you stay in that safe place, you're going to get stuck, and nothing's going to change. I'm very big on, even if it's something I might not be interested in, it's like, you know what, I'll give it a shot, because I might take one thing away from it, or I might fall in love with it. Who knows?
Yeah.
I feel there's so many people that are either intimidated by it or content with where they are. And if they're content with where they are, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But being content and then complaining about where you're not where you want to be, it's like, well, you're shooting yourself in the foot there.
Yes, there's only one person to blame for that. So
yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned, like, your sort of progression, like, from the old school 80s to, the high flying tag team trios, ultimately, getting, adding deathmatch to your repertoire as well. And we've talked a little bit about it. I mean, we might as well talk about it now. I mean, the match is past September. I mean, I had said earlier that was the second deathmatch show I'd ever been to. The first one was here in Winnipeg, and I know leading up to the show, I had talked to the fine people at Canadian Deathmatch, had them on the podcast, and I was like, "Well, fuck, I have to go to the show now." Like I've already talked to them, so like I'm gonna go. I met up with some friends there, and I had an absolute blast at the show. It was such a great time. The energy there, it was fun, exciting. And I mean, the match you and Brandon St. James put on was absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, I have to be honest, I don't think I've ever met someone who pissed off a crowd as much as Brandon St. James did, and we're to the point where like you're wondering if fans are actually going to start fighting this guy. It was something else. But like, let's talk about that match, because I mean, you guys had a great match, and ultimately, you've spoken to some of the injuries that you sustained. Like that the finale of the match was really, really something else.
Yeah, like that was one of those I go big or go home moments for sure. He's yeah, like to what you said about, yeah, I've never seen a guy get a whole room to hate him like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to give him any credit, but like I even just how that room felt in that moment, I was like, even I felt the hostility of the room, and it wasn't even aimed at me.
Yeah.
Like it was so unreal. And like now, like I live 20 minutes from Toronto, so like just being in that atmosphere, and then I will say I'm going kind of briefly going back to comfort zone. I am not the biggest fan of no ring wrestling, but
Oh.
it's something that I, in the least egotistical way, believe I am good at.
Mm-hmm.
And it forces you to get creative. It takes away the confinement of the ring. It takes away the ropes, the turnbuckles, where there are guys that there goes 50% of their moveset.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I was one of those guys until I started doing these. As far as that night specifically went, like it was one of those things. Like contrary to popular belief, I do not like heights either. It was one of those things where we were up there, and I was like, "Oh shit, here we go." Like, wasn't thinking anything of it until you look down. But yeah, I don't think that match would have been what it was. Again, I don't want to give him credit, but I feel there's only a couple of guys that aren't him that could have made that match that hostile.
Yeah.
Like at least that night, and like we get to run it back. We're like, because it's my turn basically. So I don't know. It's like I got, even as far as that, like my family, a lot of my friends, like you sure you want to do this a second time?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what choice do I have? I gotta. It for me. It's like considering I jinxed myself. I did a podcast like 2 weeks before that and claimed that I've never gotten seriously injured in deathmatch wrestling, and then 2 weeks later,
Oh.
So I was like, I gotta prove that was just a one off. That was a lucky night for Brandon St. James,
Mm-hmm.
But no, that was the night itself was amazing, despite spending the night in a trauma center.
Yeah. Well, watching watching the whole show, like I went into it and I didn't know tons of people involved with the show, like it was maybe a handful of wrestlers that, I had seen their work previously. Like I had seen, Christian Star matches before, but
Yeah.
a lot of the wrestlers there, I didn't know much about. And sometimes I almost like that going into a show, because you have no prior, thoughts on these people. You're going out, you're seeing them for the first time. So it's, you don't go in with any thoughts at all. You can, okay, let's see what you can do. And I'm going to be, I'm going to take it for what it is. And I walked out of there and I'm thinking like, there's, 5 or 6 wrestlers on here that they entertained the fuck out of me. Like it was great. And you mentioned even the no ring aspect and having to readjust your move set. It was great seeing wrestlers who, predominantly wrestle in rings, having to, if they are a high flyer, having to see them use the objects in the bar instead to, pull off some of these moves. The creativity was something that was unmatched. And I thought that huge props to everyone who, was able to up their creative levels a little bit in that show.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. As much as I have my negatives about no ring wrestling, there is a part of me that does love it because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a learning curve. It's an opportunity to experiment. It's an opportunity to try something new, try something different. And understandably, it's not for everybody. I've had so many people tell me that they look at it as garbage. They look at it as cheap. Companies don't want to rent a ring. At the end of the day, if you're not on it, who gives a shit? Don't watch it. But for me, as someone who did not, especially at the time, did not love it. Like when I first did it, because I think my first one was maybe 2022 or something along those lines. I have a love-hate relationship with it. It's like that toxic ex-girlfriend you can't get rid of, like it became that to me. And like I say all the time that when I come back, I don't know how many of those I want to do, but I'll probably end up doing some, like as I know better this time around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be honest, like after the match was done, like, cause to me, I have no idea what you were going through at the time, like I just see like, the finale happens and, I think, okay, well, he's going to be up and at him right away, like just thinking like, okay, just, hey, he just fucking wrestled in a bar, 20 odd minutes, needs to catch his breath, just went through, 2 tables, he's going to be up. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, I think something might actually be wrong here. And like, you could even see with like people telling the crowd, like, hey, like, yeah, get back a bit. And like, we need space here. I have to ask, and I mean, not to like make it super serious, but like, what are you thinking when you're laying there?
This is the funny part, actually. Not even as serious now. I didn't think anything was wrong.
Oh,
I in that moment, like I don't know, the impact wasn't bad.
mm-hmm.
I felt some pain, but it wasn't a pain that I hadn't felt before. And it was one of those things where I thought I just had the wind knocked out of me.
Yeah.
So it was just like, that's it. Like this is the end. We're like, I'm not going to be able to go another 5 minutes with the wind knocked out of me. Like we're good. And then the wind never came back. Like every breath in felt like suffocating.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a very weird sensation. And that's where I was like, okay, something might be wrong here. And then what the cameras didn't show, and you were there, I did stand up and walk out of that part of the venue.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was like, okay, I might be okay. But then I realized as I was getting to the back, I was getting more and more hunched over because I couldn't expand anything. Because at the time, I didn't know. I had 10 broken ribs. But I didn't know that's why that was being like, truthfully, the only thing I thought I broke was my collarbone. But there was nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of those things where at that time, like even when I got to the dressing room, we have people in the back that, are experienced, in first aid enough, but maybe not to deal with something like that, obviously, at that time. So we're trying to just figure out what might be wrong, and we weren't sure, and it ended up being pretty scary. But I spent 6 hours in a neck brace because they didn't, or whatever they call it, but a neck brace, because they didn't know if my neck was hurt, my spine was hurt, or anything like that. But that ended up being 5 nights in the hospital with a tube in my chest, like in the center of my chest, that was helping my lung inflate and deflate properly. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the pride in me had a hard time accepting that. Like each time they came into the room, once they got the neck brace off anyway, I was never in bed. Like I was always walking around the room because I wasn't allowed to leave the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm walking around the room. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm just bored." I'm
Yeah.
like, "I'm just bored." Like they would offer me Advil. I was like, "Nope, I'm just bored." And then I unfortunately, and the two paramedics I had were amazing, but I think I got them in trouble uh, because when we got to the hospital, again, the pride in me, uh, they pulled the stretcher in next to the hospital bed, and I'm there with a neck brace and I can't breathe, and I'm like, "We're good," and I stood up off of the stretcher and walked over to the bed, and I heard some yelling after that, but I think I got the paramedics in trouble. I don't remember their names, but if they remember my name and they see this, I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, it's one of those things. Even now I don't regret doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would have maybe changed some of the furniture if that because at the time we had the doors, and doors don't break much of your fall for anything.
No.
Um, I would have probably changed those to actual tables because then maybe instead of 10 broken ribs in a collapsed lung, it might have just been some bruised ribs or something like that. I don't know. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can go off of the what ifs, maybes, and hypotheticals, but I think at the end of it, it's now going to make for a great promotional tool for the Crazy 8 tournament in April, where
Yep.
me and Brandon get to have that rematch. But like if anything, it was weird. I was thinking it was kind of a kick in the ass to start like because I was starting to kind of get out of shape. I was eating like shit. I was slacking on exercises, getting hurt and ballooning up and eating hospital food for a week and God knows what else. Um, it was just a kick in the ass. And funny enough, I'm in the best shape I've been in since like 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so I mean, it's a bittersweet scenario, I would say.
Well, I mean, I know the Crazy Eight tournament's happening April 11th. How are you feeling knowing that that's on the horizon? I mean, you haven't had a match since the one in September. How are you preparing for it? What are your thoughts heading into this tournament?
The part of me is just like you just got to do it.
Mhm.
Like I even and what was just announced last night on on a stream on IWTV. I'm going back to Quebec for the Kings of Crazy tournament as well in May.
Oh shit.
Um, so my first two, potentially my first 2 or 5 matches, depending on the progression of the tournaments,
Mhm.
um, are going to be deathmatch tournament matches.
Mhm.
Um, mentally, I think I'm there.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to have uh, my current trainer, Rip Impact, open his doors to me to let me get back into shape. Like I've been working with him for a few months now on specific things. I was going to the right physiotherapist for stuff. I was going to instead of going to family doctors, I started going to athletic doctors because a family doctor is only going to tell me not to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas an athletic doctor, they're going to give me the routines, the exercises, the stretching, whatever I need to get where I want to be. And I think now I'm at a stage where I'm there.
Mhm.
There's some fine tuning that I'm going to have done over the next couple of weeks before, obviously, before this tournament happens. But overall, I think I'm ready. And
Mhm.
physically, like aside from just 10 years of wrestling and aches and pains, otherwise I feel pretty good.
Mhm.
Um, the only disadvantage I might have is some of the cardio because building up a lung from zero is tougher than even I thought, and because I've never experienced this before, and truthfully don't know anyone who has.
Mhm.
So it's a whole new game, and truthfully, with when you got 10, 15, 20 minutes of a wrestling match or more, um, I think it's going to be a reality check for me. But but I still think at the end of the day, I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost, it's one of those things where like you just need to get out there again, and then it's going to
Yeah,
be like it'll all be right there for you, you know. But it's like You can think about it as much as you want, but it's just like finally stepping foot into it. That's when like it'll be like, okay, we're back, we're ready, you know?
Oh yeah, my biggest thing is like in terms of a supportive nature, because like the two shows that I have shown up to for an appearance, it was so welcoming, and you know I gotta make sure I don't get all teary eyed with makeup on, you know.
Yeah.
But no, it was amazing with the time off and everything. Like, cause I put out a line of shirts just because you know I had bills to pay,
Mhm.
but I didn't want handouts per se. My brother did start a fundraiser for me, and I'm grateful for that. But like, I wanted to give something back,
Mhm.
so that's where someone designed me a shirt and while I was in the hospital, and I got out of the hospital and printed however many, like 100 or 120, whatever shirts, and I sold half of them at one show just
Oh
for
wow.
showing up.
Yeah.
And then I also did a whole pre-order thing where I could ship them off from the supplier that does my shirts, and like didn't you don't realize the support you truly have, like because once we're not in that ring, it just kind of goes back to normal.
Mhm.
So for me, it was like this is gonna be like a big night, emotionally, physically, mentally. Like it's gonna be a big night, and like I'm sure as much as right now I say I'm ready for it, and I will be ready for it. I think that night before and the moments leading to are just gonna be nothing but like nerves,
Oh
anxiety,
yeah.
doubt, like whatever it may be. Um, but I mean, I've been busting my ass since I got the clear from the doctor to start exercising and getting back into things. So like I gotta show this work wasn't for nothing, you know?
Mhm. Yo, it's almost one of those things. It's like if you weren't nervous right before or the day before, like that's when maybe something's wrong. But like knowing that you would be nervous, like that's a completely natural feeling heading back into it. So
I feel like if you're not nervous, you don't care,
yeah, yeah,
you
100%.
know? Like that's what I believe. Like this like even at one point there was a time where for me it was just another day at the office.
Mhm.
And once it got to that point, I was like, I need to step away for a couple months. Like and that kind of wiped the slate clean. But yeah, if you're not nervous or you don't get that butterfly stomach or you're not worried about something, I that just to me means you don't care anymore.
Mhm.
Like, and if you don't care, it will ultimately show at some point down the line.
Man, even just for myself doing commentary, like it's one of those things where like before every show, like I'm still, my foot's tapping away. You're anticipating. You have those nerves in you, and you're just like, I just want to get into it. Like the build up, and then you finally get in there. You do it and at the end of it. You're just like, shit, it's already done, and it's like you always need to like just it's like damn, it goes by so fast. But like those nerves are such an integral part of like the moment and the buildup that like you need it just to like know that you're like present and you're ready for it.
Oh, there's so many matches that I couldn't tell you what happened, with the exception of one moment, and that's just because of how quickly they go.
Mhm.
Like they're like even unless I have the footage, like I couldn't go back and tell you anything from me and Brandon St. James the first time in terms of recollection, aside from the finale. Um, but it's not because like I rocked my head or anything like that. It was just it goes so quick, and before you know it, the night's over, the adrenaline's gone. Like, and in my case, I was in the hospital for the next 5 days. But but yeah, like I remember so many moments, but a lot of the matches, and I've had like upwards of 500-600 matches to this point. A lot of them just kind of get blended together
Mhm.
because they come and go so quick. Like, and it's I'm not the only one, unfortunately, who experienced this. Otherwise, I'd feel like a shitty person. Um, but like, there's even times where it's just like sometimes I'll forget a match took place. It'd be like 6 years ago. It's like, remember this? It's like, no. And then they have to show me the footage, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I do remember that. Like, it's like my bad. Like you broke my nose in that match or something. Like,
Oh, I want to ask because I mean you mentioned one of the entry points for wrestling for you was being like a John Cena fan. So like you almost you're I don't say privileged, but like you've seen like someone like his like entire career, and then like same with someone like like an AJ Styles. We've been very fortunate to see all the stuff he's done. Does it ever surprise you like seeing this entire wrestler's like body of work in your career, and it's just like you see the longevity, you see everything they provide, and then it's like, wow, like I just witnessed something that, I don't want to say revolutionized, but like this person, kind of almost changed what wrestling came into, like, does that ever kind of settle with you?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like there's a lot of, I would say, this generation of newer wrestlers, or like 10-year guys like myself, that
Mhm.
really wouldn't have the influences we have without guys like that. Because yeah, you're right. Like I've been fortunate to see someone like John Cena go from start to end.
Yeah.
Uh, I got to see a good chunk of AJ Styles because, like, again, like he was back and forth with a lot of places before TNA
Mhm.
necessarily, and then even from there he went to so many different places. But you can always go back, like, because like to me, yeah, AJ Styles is one of the best to ever do it, 100%.
Mhm.
And the fact that you have access to see all of that, even 20 years late, 20 years later, 20 years prior, whatever. Um, I feel a lot of guys would either be very different or not around without some of those kinds of guys,
Mhm.
because it shows, yeah, it shows the longevity as far as, like, especially like a John Cena, where, and he's one to admit he was called out for 5 moves of doom, but damn, he was one of the most entertaining guys that they had. And there's a reason he was on top for as long as he was. And then there's guys like AJ Styles, that not the biggest guy, not the tallest guy, but he's the hardest worker in the room.
Mhm.
That showed that paid off and can have longevity as well. So I feel like everyone needs somebody to look up to, or multiple people to look up to, depending on what you're into. Um, and truthfully, I don't know who a lot of people's inspirations are, influences are. I like, even for me, I'm a big guy. Whereas, like, there's that tribalism of wrestling where it's like, no, I only like AEW. No, I only like WWE. It's like, I just like good matches.
Yes.
Like, that's me. Like, I will say, I will tune into AEW to watch Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay any day. I will also tune in, maybe not so much nowadays, but I would tune in now to watch Shawn Michaels and a dream match of Seth Rollins. Like, 100%, I would watch something like that. Like, it makes no difference to me. I just like good matches. I like engaging stories, and the guilty pleasure of mine is I like the holy shit moments too. Like, it comes down to, there's a place for everything,
Mhm.
and I try to take a little bit from everything. Like, I may not be the body guy that someone like John Cena was, but I can definitely learn from his character, his personality, even just working a camera.
Mhm.
Um, Someone like AJ Styles, that's someone for me where he's a smaller guy, but he was a workhorse, so I can take a lot from that, because I'm not the tallest guy either. I'm not the biggest guy either. So I feel like there's a place for a lot of those guys in people's repertoire, brains, their heart, whether they admit to it or not. Like, there's so many people that don't like John Cena. It's like, you were a John Cena guy at one point. Don't lie. Like, everybody was a John Cena guy at one point, just like everyone was an Undertaker guy at some point. Like, everyone was a Shawn Michaels guy at some point. Like, it's just how it goes.
Okay, hold on. I will say the only time I was really an Undertaker fan was when he was the biker, and that was because, like, at the time I fucking loved Limp Bizkit, so it was like it went together. I was like, how can I not like this guy? So
But
yeah,
even to distancing yourself from the wrestling aspect, there, you were a fan for a second.
I was still a fan. I still enjoyed his shit. So you
Because,
gotta
like, yeah, that was
admire
my favorite. That was my favorite stuff too. So I'm with you.
it.
Like, I'm with you on that.
Okay, I got one more for you, then we'll wrap things up. But I always like for a match recommendation. And this is just one that you are personally a fan of, and it could be any wrestlers, any promotions, any streaming service, but one you're a fan of that you think the listener should go and check out.
Oh, that's a tough one. I got so many for so many different reasons. But honestly, as much as I would love to dig into the archives and the fortress of wrestling matches that exist, one is guilty pleasure because I was there, and second, two of the best in the world, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I believe, it was Forbidden Door with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was one of those matches that you had two of the best in the world currently. You have one insanely athletic. Well, no, you have both insanely athletic.
Yeah.
You got one who's more of a body guy, more lifting in Kenny Omega. You got one guy who can twist his bodies in ways that shouldn't be possible. You got two guys who are basically made out of bubble gum because they seem to rarely get hurt. But they also have a way of just capturing moments within the craziness. And everyone's saying it's a gymnastics routine, it's this and that. If you really pay attention, there are so many moments that are there. Just even if it's like taking a second to engage with the highest point in the arena. Like there's not one fan that doesn't feel left out.
Mm-hmm. And
I find guys like those who just know what they do, what they can do with each other, and how to captivate a room and have a fucking 35-minute match and not run out of steam is just amazing to me. But it also towed that line. There was enough violence in there that if you're not a flippy, whatever you want to call it type of guy, there was a level of aggression in there that I feel so many not necessarily lack, but just forget about.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's still professional wrestling. Sure. Gymnastics, dance routine, whatever people want to insult it by, but at the end of the day, the shit fucking hurts. And when guys know what they're doing and do it properly, safely, but properly, it's some of the best in the world. So as much as I was just rambling on there, that is one I would pitch. And selfishly, like I said, I got to witness that live, and I was captivated. But you could go back to the one in New Japan as well that they had and see that too. That was just as good.
Mm-hmm.
So
I could watch those two wrestle every week and enjoy it every single time. It's one of those things, the creativity and what they're able to do in that ring, the storytelling, that is what I love about professional wrestling. So I think that's a fucking fantastic choice.
Absolutely. I believe that there's no such thing as perfect, but when professional wrestling is done right, it's fucking perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I think.
So I know April 11th, you got the Crazy 8 tournament. Where else can people see you in the upcoming months for shows? Where will you be?
The only two I have confirmed right now, I will be in Hamilton, Ontario for the Crazy 8 on April 11th. And then on May 2nd for Interspecies Wrestling and New Outlaws Wrestling are getting together for the Kings of Crazy Deathmatch Tournament. This is the second one that they've ever run. It's the second one that I get to be a part of. That will be May 2nd in Valleyfield, Quebec.
Okay.
As far as things are confirmed, those are the only two confirmed. I'm in talks with others, but everything ends up being thrown up on my social media because we're in an age now where you type in my name, you'll see the next 5 cities I'm going to be in. But as of now, I only have 2 confirmed.
That social media, where can the people find you if they want to hit you up? If they want to support Tyler Aero, where can they find you online?
Across the board, it's Tyler Aero, spelled as the second E is a 3 because someone already took that username. But it's that across the board. Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever it's called now. Even TikTok, even though I'm terrible at using TikTok, it's more just a doom scrolling thing for me on nights I don't have anything to do. But that is, and on YouTube, I guess I'm just slacking on content up there.
All right, Tyler, I really appreciate you doing this. It was an absolute pleasure to chat with you today.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you.
Thank you to Tyler, and thank you for checking out the podcast. I say it every time. I always say it. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to me talk wrestling. If it's your first time listening, you can find me up on all social media, Grainmaker Wrestling Podcast, up on all podcast streaming platforms. every weekend up on the Love Wrestling YouTube page, doing For Exposure with my friend Pluggo. We take a look at the world of independent wrestling. It's a lot of fun. Thanks so much for checking out the podcast. We'll talk soon. Grainmaker.